Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Matthew here with Crescent Vale. We have a little bit different style video today. We're doing a lot of these self-grading cards, and we did this one recently. It's a 1998-1999 Encore hollow foil Michael Jordan card. And essentially what a lot of people see is us grading the card. They sometimes see the Zion slab that anyone can purchase. But what I've also seen a lot of the times, people will leave the Zion they have a little sticker that they put in when you buy it. And, I think to myself, like, I saw somebody else, hey, somebody has charged for custom labels, and I want to empower people. I want to empower people to be able to do this. Exactly what I'm doing is take, product, a card, a slab, and then make this custom label right here. So, we did our own logo and we did our own style on the custom label. But now taking it from this to what I just showed you takes a little bit of work. And it is true. It's like, you kind of pay these grading companies for a bit of their, not only their professional analysis, but a bit of taking care of the slab. Now, these Zion slabs, it should be noted that they are magnetic at the top, and you can open these. So when you do purchase a card from us, it can be opened. And there's pros and cons to that. Some people like to have their stuff, it's an adhesive, a glue basically, glued together so that you can't just crack it open and then somebody who put it at a 10, you could switch it out for a 7. And yeah, there is a bit of that can happen. So I'm not saying it can't, but you can also, there's a lot of counterfeiting that goes on. So I wanted people to be aware that is a reality, and you have to be aware and careful of all that. But if you purchase something directly from Crescent Vale on eBay, and hey, that's a trusted brand, he's not going to put a 7 in a 10 casing. Now, after we sell our cards, we have no ability to police and enforce how people move the slab. So one, thing is, when you purchase certain grading companies and it's encased and it's glued, it's adhesive, I guess you could almost feel like there's more trustworthiness that card hasn't switched hands. Now, it's always the buyer's responsibility to ask for photos and do a bit of that due diligence themselves. So it's a bit on the buyer's responsibility too, to not just trust what you see. And if you do get something that is questionable, that you talk to your seller about it. So I want to quickly make some quick notes that, hey, what we're doing, this is the 75th card that we've graded. We're going to go over as many as we can. But this card specifically we're going to kind of reveal the curtain on how to do the custom label side of it. Basically what's going to go up there. So some people might say, like, how would you do that? And I have two things here I'm going to show people a bit on how we go about creating these custom labels. So the first is a bit of, whenever you go to print, you can print it however you want. This is a piece of light cardstock that works with the printer that I have. I started off by going to like Office Depot, Staples, those kind of places. And I would ask them to help me print with cardstock paper. I'd ask them to do like a front and a back. And then I'd ask them to help me align it, this is crop marks here, so that whenever I go to cut it, that it is even on both sides. So this, what I want to show this for is and this is also if you go to buy a Zion slab from an online retailer, it will also have this online too, but I'm just showing you like the sausage making process. Whenever I'm about to pull up Canva. So it's 2 inches, 0.51, 2.51 inches in width, 0.76, so almost 3/4 of an inch in height. Now, whenever you essentially make your own, you don't have to do black and white. You can be as creative as you want. Just our process is to have basically the what I would call a certification number. We do have a QR code that goes back to the Crescent Vale site, and if we have cards that we've graded multiple times, it starts to kind of build a pop report. And so what we're doing with the QR code is going back to the Crescent Vale site saying, here's how many times we've graded it. Here's the grades that they've got. It's a bit of an overview. And if it's a pop 1, I don't usually do a pop 1. If it's a pop 2, I start to create a pop report. For single cards, I haven't been doing that. I might start doing that in the future. But really, I think a pop report matters more when there's more than one card that's been graded. So that's what that QR code is doing. It's going back to our website where every of the 75 cards is the web page. There's a YouTube video for almost every single one. Sometimes we group a few together, but not very many. So what we're doing is putting a YouTube video into the article that shows our grading process. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do the article. Really, if you just want to have your own custom label, that's really your own decision, if you even want to have it. And if you do, how much work you want to put into it. So essentially, we're doing myself is doing a lot of this extra work to increase transparency and trust. Because at the end of the day, what these cards are doing, they're being sold as raw. And if you go and sell a raw card on eBay, it'll give you like, is it near mint or better? Is it excellent, good? So to me, near mint or better is basically grades 7 through 10. Excellent is really grade 6 if you go by how the other professional grading companies numerically convert these terms over. Is near mint or better is really 7 through 10. Excellent is 6 through 7. Good 5 to 3. Poor 0 to 2. If you want to try to like rough estimate it, that's my interpretation of those. Now, eBay may have a different interpretation, but it's hard for them sometimes, I think, to it's a delineate, granular kind of grading scale, which maybe they will evolve. And that would be great if they would evolve their grading scale, because then it would reflect what I'm doing, what other possible self-grading card people are doing. But back to creating the label. You don't have to do all those things I'm doing. You don't even have to create the label. You can just sell it raw in a top loader, in a penny sleeve. That's your preference. Feel free to do that. I'm not saying you have to do it this way. I'm giving you the work behind the curtain. If I am the Wizard of Oz, this is how I'm creating these labels, the process behind it, and I just want people to be aware of how we do it. I have too many iPads. I think this other one that's below, and you'll see it in a lot of videos. It's basically a brick. I don't even know. I could try to find a charging port. Probably could find one for it, but I basically have a newer iPad here, so it's a brick. Right now, it doesn't ever get used. It probably would still load, but what do I need it for when I have a newer one that the other one runs out of memory? It's slower. It probably still would load. I may give it to my older brother one day, or my younger brother, or one of my, niece and nephews if they ever ask for it. So if a family member asks for the tablet that is shown in almost all of our videos, they can have it. Family member. So what we're looking at now is a newer tablet, and this is the process that I go through when I'm creating a custom label. We kind of already looked at the length and the width. So I wanted to show a little bit how I originally created it, and then also how I create them, reoccurringly create them. So you just saw like a one pager with one label. You can kind of see here that I do 5 labels on one piece of paper. And since it takes me like almost an hour per label, you could be like, well, why don't you just do 2 dozen labels per page? And really, it takes a lot of time to do this amount of work. You don't have to. You could just pump out labels and not have a web page, not have a pop report, not have a video for everything. But again, my process is showing the grading analysis on camera, putting that on the website that I've ran for 15, 20 years, the YouTube channel for 10, 20 years. So it takes me a longer time to create each of these labels. And really I do about 5. I do 5 to 10 a week if I'm lucky. This isn't a full-time job. This is really part-time. And this is really my hobby. Like those Jordans, I love the Jordan cards. So if they sell, that's great. If they don't, I'll just hold on to them for as long as I need to. Back to it. That's why this specific 8.5 by 11 has 5 smaller labels on it. And when I print it front and back, it prints out on a thin piece of cardstock with the cheaper printer that I bought. It works for me. And whatever process works for you, just try to be cost effective with it, because you may not always sell the stuff that you think that you can. But let's go into one of these real quick. So here is a up close view of one of our labels. Now I've had people say, I've asked for feedback, and some people have said, hey, increase the size of the font for the subgrades. Subgrades here. And there's a bit of, they're correct. People should be able to see this, the subgrades without having to squint, and, like pull the card up close to their face. There should be just a quick and easy way of seeing those subgrades. Now, in reality, I own these, so I feel like I'm my own biggest critic, or my own biggest, critic is a good word. I don't want to see a bad subgrade. And the reality is, some cards just have them. So if I do a lot of 9s, 8.5s is honestly a big bulk. And there's just usually something wrong with a card. And if I go to grade a card and it has that kind of lower subgrade, is like at an 8, I don't really want to scream to the world with bigger, like larger font that, this card is an 8.5 or a 9, but the centering got an 8. I'm not trying to scream that to the world. I'm trying to scream the final grade to the world, to even myself. And everybody could have a different take on that, but that's a bit of my rationale. Other companies have done subgrades. I looked and see why some companies took it away, and it's because there wasn't enough demand. I think there is a demand to subgrades, and I think it is important. So I'm keeping the subgrades on mine. You don't have to with yours. So what we did is we just clicked on this specific label, but I'm going to go back real quick. I'll just kind of talking through a little bit of the design. And this is not as easy as I would like it to be. So what I really want to do is make a copy, because at a certain point it's just easier to make copies of labels, because you don't have to make a new one all the time. So right now, Canva, and you don't have to use Canva, it's just what I use. This isn't paid promotion for Zion or Canva, it's just what the tools I use. So you'll see here we have a new label. It says copy of label. So what I do is I rename it. Let's see if I can rename it from up here. Heading, file. Here we go. Great. So you go to file to rename it. And again, this is just my process. You can do your process however you like. You can make a new label from scratch each time if you really wanted to. And I'm not going to lie to you, I usually use my smartphone to do a bulk of my edits. This is for YouTube, and I could have probably zoomed out a little bit more, but I think you're getting the gist of it. And so I do the label number, and then usually the initial of the player for my file name. And then I'll do like a little other piece to kind of remind myself. No one's going to see this file name. This is really just for myself. So we have that. So basically copied it and then renamed it. I'm going to now work on the, and you don't have to put the number of the card. I think there's like names and numbers of cards. You don't have to do it this way, but this is just how I'm doing it. This is a 1998, 1999. Okay. Sometimes you get auto-complete, sometimes you don't. And then another reason why I specifically do a smaller font at the top is because there's sometimes really long titles to a specific card. This is like an average size. You can kind of see I still have some room to the right. But sometimes cards get really long titles. So that's why I do that. And naming conventions, feel free to do your own naming conventions. You can really get as crazy as you want. What we do is, for naming conventions on a 9, we just call it mint. And since I've copied it, it kind of stays all symmetrical. So that kind of came off wrong. So in Canva, you can use this back button to kind of adjust it. And it's not necessary for me to go through really all of these steps with you, but you can probably understand I'm going to update all of my grades here. And then I'm going to do on, you can kind of have a front and back is how I have designed this. So it's kind of like a second page inside of Canva. So I have like my updated cert number there. I will be creating a new QR code. And like I don't have to show you every step behind the process, but you get a good gist of it. So yeah, if you go to, I think like the home button, I believe it is underneath. Let me see if I go to more. I think it's apps. Let's see here if this, because I usually do it on a smartphone, so I'm just trying to do this on a tablet. I'm looking for a QR kind of generator thing. Here we go. Generate QR. Oh, okay. So I go to new design. You don't have to do this specific size. This is just what I do. Create new design. I just did it symmetrical, so even on the left to the top, just as long as it's the same. So it's going to kind of populate here. I'm going to grab my, from the Crescent Vale site, I'm going to grab the URL, pop it in here, create my QR code. You can customize it however you like, or you don't have to. That's just my process. So I'll have that QR code. I'll go back to the, we'll go back to home. And I'll go back to my label and add it in. So essentially that's the process. See if this updates with that 9. Should have saved. Yeah. So that's essentially the process. Getting close to 20 minutes. You know, it's not a perfect tutorial. I could have done more sharing of the screen and did it that way. But there was a couple of layers to it. I wanted to show the 2.51 2.51 inches by 76. I wanted to show the paper being printed off. A couple different ways I could have gone about doing this tutorial. But in the end, you see the work behind the curtain. And then I want you to hopefully gain some trust and transparency with me as we're along on this ride. Thank you for watching. Continue to watch, and have a great day.